Hey all, thanks for stopping by and spending a little time with me here. I've been thinking lately a lot about why we struggle. The Buddhists call it suffering, we call it suffering. I mean, there are many we're challenged. We can come up with, I'm sure, other names too, but why do we struggle so? And I have my own theories about that, a few theories about that. Some I've received from guidance, and some I just have come up with on my own because I am that way. I just have my own opinions, I guess. One thing that guidance has taught me about why we end up struggling so, and I'm talking about our inner struggles, I'm talking about how we can get so Twitter-pated, so in ourselves with so much infighting. It's how I feel it anyway. Maybe you feel it like that too, that I can't seem to stop. It really is. It's like when you see a boxing match, if there was no referee, maybe those two would go at it forever. And I feel like many of us don't have an internal referee. And so we just go at ourselves, beating up on ourselves, and or wondering, if we could do something better. We just struggle and struggle and struggle. So back to something that guidance taught me about struggle. They have told me that there isn't really a need for it other than to learn from it. And I know many of us understand that. Many of us understand that suffering can be a way to learn, right? A way to elevate ourselves, a way to dig into what we're struggling or suffering about so we can do better or feel better, somehow come to a little bit more what some people also call enlightenment about ourselves. Therefore, we can feel just a little better, right? And guidance has said, and I believe this actually, I know it's worked in my life when I get down to the nitty gritty of what I'm suffering about, it does, there is a way then to cleanse it. And those ways are really individual, from a therapist to meditation, to channeling, to using tarot cards, to talking to a friend. I mean, the list goes on, how to stop struggling. But the point is, to really pay attention when we struggle. Guidance did tell me that unless we are going to learn from struggle, make that choice, then the choice really is to figure out how to, in that moment at least, take a few breaths and notice that this is happening, because it's not really what's supposed to be happening. What's supposed to be happening, according to guidance, is for us to live in joy, complete joy, right? That is such a far-fetched dream. I can't even begin to understand how that could possibly be. But in an ideal world, that's really what we're brought here to do, to really be joy, live joy, expand joy, offer joy. But in our world, to get there, a lot of times it's through suffering. But again, not because we're supposed to suffer. It's just that, according to them, we have collectively decided that that's the way it is. Now, some of that, there has been some there's some scientific proof that because of who we are as humans coming here, we have definitely, we are still carrying that fear or flight reaction. I know we've talked about, you've probably heard about this a lot. And so we carry that with us, and that negativity we're expecting, it's almost like we expect for that shoe to drop, right? We expect something terrible to happen to us, and we seem to just carry that with us. And I think it was, I'm going to be quoting this wrong, but my meditation teacher, Amy Trezona, give her a shout out. I know I'm not quoting her correctly, but something like research has shown that for every like 7 negative thoughts we have one positive thought. And when I learned that statistic, it could be 8 negative thoughts, but it's up there. It's like that. It really did make sense to me how we are still ingrained to believe in the worst case scenario. And so we struggle. and we struggle a lot. But I mentioned coming into this video that I had my own theories. And one of my theories about struggle has to do with the fact that I think that we are often, well, collectively, right? And this is something guidance taught me, but, collectively, we all understand what struggle is, right? And so it's almost like through a habit, we feed on that. We know it, we feed on it, we we give it to others, they give it to us, we put, oil on that fire, we just get into it, we get into that struggle over and over and over and over again. And we, due to our habit, we forget that there are other ways to be, and other ways to feel, and other ways to deal with that energy, so that maybe we can feel, a little better, a little better. And I think that when we struggle within ourselves, when we don't have what it takes for us to love ourselves more, to notice that we are so deeply ingrained in putting ourselves down, or in not being able to, feel all the love that we have for ourselves, let alone other people, then really what we've decided is that we're not worthy. And I think that's where I talk about my theory. I think that that whole notion of not being worthy, of not feeling somehow like we belong here, not feeling somehow like we have a right to feel good about ourselves, to, put on those shoulder pads and say, I'm the best, I'm the greatest, I do love myself, and all of that. I think part of my theory about that is because in this culture here, especially in the US, we are trained out of that, right? And I know this isn't just my thoughts or my ideas. I'm sure you all have experienced this. We confuse ego with feeling with being like an egomaniac, and really that is unfortunate. I had a client recently who told me that she was reading a book where the book said something about get rid of the ego. And I told her to throw the book away. I know, it's crazy, right? But I think we really don't understand what that word is. I'm not saying I do, but I know one thing for sure. If I didn't have an ego, I wouldn't be on this video with you. If I didn't have an ego, I wouldn't be putting out a newsletter every Monday and sending it to folks with messages from guidance. If I didn't have an ego, I might just sit with my hands under my butt in a chair and not do very much all day. I mean, we need our egos to get us motivated. And I'm not using that word ego the way Jung did, or the way other psychiatrists or psychologists do, but I do know from talking to people, not just this one particular client, but other people, that sometimes we are afraid of that word because we have decided it has something to do with being selfish, or we're too full of ourselves, or we have, we're egomaniacs. Now, it's true that in our society, sometimes our egos are, out here, and we forget about other aspects of ourselves, right? It's easy. Sometimes we're so motivated to do what we want to do. We have so much passion for something that we can just go, 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 and forget maybe to smell the roses, or to feel what's in our hearts, or use our intuition to help us, and not just keep, moving forward because of what we want to achieve or what we want to do. But that's another conversation. I guess what I'm saying is that we all have a right to be who we are, and we all have a right to love ourselves. And finding that pathway is really what we're supposed to be doing in this lifetime. I am absolutely convinced of it. We have enough struggle, We have enough suffering. And I think if we all just spent a little bit more time figuring out how to just be with self in a way that is loving and kind, that might solve maybe half, maybe a little more than half of what we feel we're struggling with. Okay, well, that's all I have for today. You've been very patient with me. I appreciate you being here. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Thanks.